segment once again, that is Mind Your Language. And Willis, the word master, is still on standby. Willis, welcome back to the program. And a Happy New Year, or is it a Happy New Year? Which is the correct word, actually?
Well, you brought something that is really confusing to many people, Yusuf. Many people talk of Happy New Year. When you say Happy New Year, it's like we have an ear that is new. I don't know what that one would mean, but when we talk about Happy New Year or Happy New Year, you are talking about what we call mwaka in Kiswahili. So we better say Happy New Year or Happy New Year. We should avoid Happy New Year. Happy New Sikio.
Interesting.
You get that?
Happy New Year, Willis. So let's cross over to our first word tonight, and it's an abnormal hardening of body tissue. How do you pronounce that? Is it sclerosis? Sclerosis?
Or you say sclerosis. Sclerosis. You are talking about the medical term that refers to a condition in which soft tissue in the body becomes hard?
Yes.
Yes, you say sclerosis. Sclerosis. And when you go to, or you get over now to the adjective, you say sclerotic. Sclerosis, that is the noun, then sclerotic, that is the adjective. And
Willis, I'm sure you've seen there have been so many accidents on Kenyan roads, especially during the festive season. So do you say fatal accident or fatal accident? What is the correct pronunciation there?
That is a good word, Yusuf, because in most cases, you would hear people talking of fatal. Fatal, fatality. We should avoid that. The first letter A takes that sound A. That is the glide, what we call a diphthong, or you can also pronounce it as a diphthong. So you say fatal, fatality. Fatal, fatality.
So the right pronunciation there is fatal. Now,
that is it.
Let me spell the next word, and it's Navel, the central point of a place. What is the right pronunciation there?
Oh, yes, you're talking about, we can also use that word for the lump in the middle of the stomach where the umbilical cord is cut at birth, or the center, the way you put it, the central part of something. Navel, you say navel. We should avoid saying navel or navel. You say navel.
I think I've...
navel. And Yusuf, we should also remember that when we have Naval, that is in connection to navy, you say naval, just the way we pronounce this one. So such words which have different spellings, but they are pronounced the same way, and they also have different meanings, we call them homophones. Different spellings and meanings, same pronunciation. So Navel, naval, just like Naval.
I've heard you loud and clear. There's some interesting word you've mentioned. You know, so many people tend to refer to it as umbilical cord. So it's, what was the right pronunciation again?
Umbilical. Umbilical. That letter U takes the mid-central sound Umbilical cord.
Okay, fantastic. Now over to our next word. Is it a requiem mass or is it a requiem mass?
Or you say requiem. Requiem mass. A requiem mass, yes.
Requiem mass. Thanks for that. Now
requiem
over
mass.
To the state of being overweight. What will you refer to that as? Is it obesity, obesity?
Oh, you say obesity. What we see is obesity in terms of the letter sequence or the spelling, O-B-E-S-I-T-Y. But don't say obesity. That is a common mispronunciation locally. We say obese, not obese, or obese. Then we say obesity, not obesity.
So someone who is overweight will be referred to as obese, not obese.
Yes, and obese, not obese.
Now, over to another
Yes.
word. I believe this is a type of a bird. And is it pheasant? Peasant?
You don't use the long vowel sound E. E and A after P and H
Yes.
is not a digraph. You say pheasant. Pheasant. That is
Pheasant.
Pheasant. Pheasant. So, in this case, you remember we also say jealous, not jealous. Peasant, not peasant.
That's
So
interesting.
you say pheasant, pleasant, peasant.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, Willis. Now, over to
Yes.
our next word. Is it ancient? Is the N silent? Is it ancient? What is the right pronunciation there?
You say ancient. Ancient. That is a period of history that is thousands of years in the past. You talk of ancient history or ancient monuments. So what we should avoid is saying ancient or ancient. Those are defective pronunciations of that word. We say ancient. Ancient.
Ancient, right?
Ancient. That N is
Ancient.
pronounced.
Oh, the N is
ancient.
pronounced.
Yes.
I have it right now.
Yes.
Now, over to our next word. And when one seeks to obtain through the generosity of others, is it to scrounge, scrounge?
Yes. The way you pronounced it in the first, when you said it for the first time, that is scrounge. Many people find themselves saying scrounge, but we say scrounge, the way you said it firstly. Now, we also say lounge, a lounge. We don't say the lounge. When you're talking about the living room or a place where people sit to wait for, like at the airport and all that, you talk of lounge, not the lounge. And remember, the person is a scrounger. Scrounger, not a scrounger. To scrounge, then a scrounger. Then the other word I've referred to is lounge, Yusuf.
Willis, before we cross over to a surprise word tonight, there's a feedback from Caxton Wafula who says, what is the right pronunciation? It's pronunciation, right? Not pronunciation. Of
Yes,
the
it's
word, is it etiquette? Etiquette? Can you demystify that for us?
Oh, when we talk about, Yusuf, when you're talking about the rules of correct or polite behavior in the society or among, members of a particular profession, we talk of etiquette. But you can agree with me that several times or in certain occasions, you may find somebody talking of etiquette instead of etiquette.
Etiquette.
So the right pronunciation is etiquette, not etiquette. So Caxton Wafula of Bungoma and our dear viewers, you say etiquette. And just on that, I want also to share with our viewers, Yusuf, the fact that we say cigarette. There is that stress, that primary stress on ret, not cigarettes. Cigarettes?
Cigarette.
No. Cigarettes. Yes,
Wow.
cigarettes. That may be new to some of us or a surprise, but before we go to that, we can also, share with our dear viewers who also sent in words here very fast. Then I go to the surprise word for tonight. We have Shakila Chepngetich of Nairobi. Chepngetich, a wonderful name there. You say oasis, not oasis. Oasis.
Oasis.
So, Shakila Chepngetich, what we see is oasis in terms of the letter sequence or what we have as the appearance of that word, but you say oasis. Alicia of AIC School, AIC, you say church, the church. Don't say the judge. If you say the judge, when you are referring to a place of worship, that would not be accurate. You say church. So Alicia, you also say Alicia, not Alicia. That is it. Vincent Marwa Martins of Sirare and Kennedy Omutiti or Daktari, you say Quagmire, you also say Quagmire. So that letter A can take the sound A, that is the open or the low front sound A. quagmire, or it can take sound O, quagmire. Those are alternatives in terms of the pronunciation of that word. Quagmire or quagmire. Eric Mock of Kisumu Airport, you say wretched, a wretched boy. Wretched. Don't say wretched. Wretched, no. And for those who talk about havoc, when we have floods and all that, you talk of floods wreaked. Havoc, wreaked, not wrecked. Wreck is W-R-E-C-K. But when we talk of floods cause havoc, you say wreaked havoc. Precious and Wanjiro Ngure, I hope I pronounced that name correctly. Wanjiro Ngure and Precious, you say education. You can also say education, but education is more accurate. Maurice Onuko, you say latter, the former and the latter. Olala, you say maize flour, flour. So F-L-O-U-R, don't say flour. Maize flour, no. Say maize flour, just like F-L-O-W-E-R. Those are homophones. Orang Rogers, cabinet secretary. Cabinet secretary, but you can also say secretary. But when you hear somebody talking of secretary, Terry is always the American way of pronouncing that word, secretary. James Sude, yacht. Don't say a yacht. Yachting, no. Yacht, no. The spelling is Y-A-C-H-T. Don't say Y-A-T-C-H. It's Y-A-C-H-T. And the pronunciation is yacht. Eds Nyabiba, plagiarism. Plagiarism. You can also say plagiarism, but with that weak sound E or U in the part zm or zim. But don't say plagiarism, 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 avoid those. Plagiarism. Then Grace Mutunga, Yusuf Galmogle, Yusuf, you'll help me here. You have a namesake in this case, of Lysamis in Marsabit, Yusuf Galmogle. Thank you so much.
Willis,
is that the way we pronounce it, Yusuf?
Willis, actually, that's where I come from. That's my home county.
Oh, Lysamis in Marsabit.
Yes, actually Marsabit County.
But one great thing, one thing that all the great people of Lysamis must be proud of is the kind of English that KTN has tapped in Yusuf Ibrahim.
Thank you,
You deserve
Willis.
a pat on the back, my brother. So we also have Martin Mureithi. We also thank you so much. But Martin Mureithi, you say issue or issue. Those are alternative pronunciations of that word. You can say issue. You can also say issue. Remember, finance and finance, alternative or alternate pronunciations. Let's go straight, Yusuf, now to our surprise word for the night.
Okay.
Many people talk of mauled. Mauled by a leopard. In the first place, we don't say leopard. You say leopard.
Leopard.
That O is silent. Leopard. Then this word, from the word mole, you say mold. I've done what we call phonetic transcription using the IPA symbols. IPA stands for International Phonetic Alphabet. Just below, those who understand the transcriptions, you can see we say mold, mold. Don't say mould. Just like we say hold from the verb hold. You can now see, or even the noun, but remember you don't have nouns inflecting. It's only when it's used or when it functions as a verb. Yusuf, I'm putting the two words for easier reference that would be of benefit to our viewers. We say mold, mold by a leopard. Then we say hold, not howled. So the two words, in terms of the phonetic transcription, you can see this part, and this part represents the long sound O, mold. So A and U combine to form the long sound O. Such combinations, don't say such combinations. Combination, no.
It's
combination. Such a combination is called, we have it as a digraph, a combination of two letters representing one sound. Then, finally, my dear brother, we have three words. That is the part of confusing words. L-E-A-V-E-R and L-E-V-E-R are pronounced the same way. that is the first two words, you say lever with the long sound E, lever, a school lever. We also say lever for this one, L-E-V-E-R. But when we have L-I-V-E-R, don't say lever. You now use the short vowel sound E, just like in the word hit. So you say lever, lever. Don't say lever. When you talk of lever, that is L-E-A-V-E-R, or you are talking about L-E-V-E-R. But English is tricky, especially when we talk about the phonology of English. That is the sound system of English, but manageable. Yusuf, anything else?
It's a very tricky language. Many thanks for educating us, Willis. I think the one that stood out for me is one that most reporters actually tend to pronounce it differently, and that is when they say floods, wreaking havoc. You said it's wreaking.
Wreak havoc, yes.
So the correct word is?
It's confusing because that verb wreak, that is W-R-E-A-K. You say reek, just like in the word leak, L-E-A-K. So E and A combine to form the long sound E in leak and also in reek. And the word reek, that verb means cause. So when you say floods wreak havoc, what you mean is floods cause havoc. But when you say floods wreak havoc, it sounds vague because wreak means to damage. So there is no way floods can damage havoc. Havoc is not something that is tangible. So you can't say floods wreak havoc. It sounds
Thanks,
vague.
Willis, for that. Of course, there is Willis Ocheng, the word master, joining me all the way from Kisumu City. If you have more questions for him, you can get him on Twitter. His Twitter handle is at Willis Ocheng1. Many thanks, Willis, for that. And once again, Happy New Year and not Happy New Year. And that brings us to the end of